What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Alright, so before I get into this video, I want to give a shout out to both LB, the sports and political channel of LB, as well as Ticket TV 2. They've already done videos talking about this. So the Philadelphia 76ers have hired former Toronto Raptors head coach Nick Nurse. And, of course, Philadelphia fired Doc Rivers mere days after they were eliminated by the Boston Celtics after they blew a 3-2 lead. Remember, after that sensational 42-point performance by James Harden, where he essentially hit the game winner, Marcus Smart's three-pointer that would have won the game came just as the buzzer had sounded, so it didn't count. And James Harden's performance gave Philly a 3-2 lead, and Joel Embiid, supposed best player on that team, didn't get it done the next couple of games, especially in Game 7, and they blew a 3-2 lead. Another lead blown in the Doc Rivers era, even though a lot of times it wasn't necessarily his fault, but still it just, with his history and the media pressure, Philly fired Doc Rivers. So now they have Nick Nurse as the head coach. Does this make a difference? Well, the only thing that I can see that might be different, and I'm going to tell an ugly truth that I just feel compelled to say. X's and O's wise, no, it really doesn't make a difference. And I don't see this team getting out of the second round again. Nick Nurse is not an upgrade from Doc Rivers coaching wise, in my opinion. Yes, he's won a championship. And yes, he won head coach of the year after that championship. But it's kind of easy for players to, A, buy into a coach rhetoric and BS 1 year after you won a championship with the championship afterglow. And also, I think the Raptors were motivated that year to show that it wasn't a fluke just because they had Kawhi Leonard the year before. And then, of course, it's easy to win a championship when you have a relatively healthy, in his prime, Kawhi Leonard playing with a good team overall, built around him via the trade when the Spurs traded him to Toronto. But outside of that, Nick Nurse has been, quite honestly, an average coach, in my opinion. He's not a bad coach, but he's not a great coach either, Hell, you can even make some arguments. Historically, Doc has been a better coach because Doc has coached various different teams and different personalities. I just don't think Doc is a top 15 all-time coach, but I think he's top 30, 35, but just not top 15. So look, from an X's and O's standpoint, I think they're just gonna be the same team. Shout out to LB, because he brought up another point too. This is a point that he brought up. Nick Nurse is notorious for running a tight ship. When I say tight ship, I mean a short rotation. So some of these unsung hero type players, Shakes Milton, the other guy Melton, PJ Tucker, hell, even to a lesser extent Tobias Harris, depending upon what happens with James Harden, because Tyrese Maxey has emerged. You wonder how many minutes some of these guys are going to get, or if some of these guys are even going to be on the team, because there's a lot of question marks surrounding James Harden. Is he going to stay? Is he using Houston as leverage to get more money from Philly, or is he already made up his mind he's going to Houston? And I don't know. But the one ugly truth I wanted to bring up, look, man, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it, but not say it. Nick Nurse has an advantage that Doc Rivers doesn't have. And you may already know I'm going with that. Some of these players, man, it's just ingrained in them. And I hate talking like this because people are like, oh man, why are you always bringing this stuff up? But it's the truth. I can't sit and act like it doesn't exist in our society. And what I'm talking about is some of these guys it's ingrained in them not to respect authority coming from someone that looks like them. Okay? When they think of a head coach, they think of somebody that looks more like a Nick Nurse rather than, say, in some people's eyes, even a Doc Rivers or a Dwayne Casey. It's just people that look like Nick Nurse to some of these guys. They're born to be leaders. They will respect someone that looks like that more than someone who looks like them or similar to them. Case in point, Trae Young. Trae Young has already had 2 coaches that didn't look like him fired, but I guarantee you he'll probably have no real issues with Quentin Snyder. I'm telling you, watch. He'll have. And if I'm wrong, I'll mea culpa on here. But I'll guarantee you he won't have no real problems with Quentin Snyder. But having said all of that, I still don't think they're going to go anywhere. They're going to be the same goddamn team that they've always been because Joel Embiid this year confirmed it to me, man. I'm sorry. I don't care if this guy comes out next year and averages 35 and 13. I don't care about the regular season no more with this guy. It's the same thing. There's always this fall off in the playoffs. People make excuses about him being double teamed. Great players get double teamed all the time. There's no excuse. I can see for a game it affecting the player, but not for a whole playoff run. No. Great players make adjustments, and great players cannot be stopped by a double team. Giannis gets doubled and triple teamed all the time and still figures out somehow to average, when he's healthy, 31 and 13. So, I don't want to hear that as an excuse. This dude always breaks down. He's inconsistent at times, especially in the playoffs. And it's just something always happens to this guy. Some inconvenient injury, conditioning issues. He disappears. So with Joel Embiid, man, at the end of the day, unless Joel Embiid is complemented with another great player that offsets Joel Embiid's shortcomings, I just don't see them getting to an NBA Finals, a conference Finals, let alone an NBA Finals. The only way this team will get to a conference Finals is if they go into a situation where everybody gets hurt. Every top team has a significant injury or two. That's the only way this team will sneak into the finals. And they'll still figure out some way to lose. But anyway, that's all I got to say about that one. Tell me what you guys think.